Thank you for tuning in to Warriors Next Adventure podcast. I'm your host, Nick Ron. I'm an Iraq Afghan veteran interviewing veterans from across the country. Today I interview Justin Bullock. He is an Army veteran and a team leader for the Warfighter Disaster Response team. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome back to Warriors Next Adventure. I got another podcast started here with Justin. Does he pronounce it Bullock? Bullock?
Yes.
Bullock. All right, cool. He's somebody I met on one of the groups we shall not name on Facebook, and it's pretty much a shit posting group. We all get together and talk shit to each other. So we met through there, and we started bullshitting, and just randomly, I think I said something about Minnesota. You started talking about Brooklyn Park, and it kind of just went from there. And then, 2-3 weeks ago, you're just like, when the fuck are we gonna hang out? And I actually had nothing going on. So we went and chilled for the night. It was a lot of fun, man. My asshole's still on fire from that fucking food that we ate.
That Kung Pao chicken lit your ass up.
Dude, it was terrible. Like, it was so good, but god damn it, like I suffered eating that shit.
It had some strength to it. Some strength.
So Justin here is part of something really fucking cool that I want to talk about. We'll get into this a little bit later. I want to start off with your history and everything, but he's part of Warfighter Disaster Response. So we'll get into that a little bit. But tell me about your life in the military. What exactly did you do? What service were you in? What was your MOS?
So I was in the Army. I was artillery, stationed in Korea, actually, at Camp Hovey in 2004. And my brigade actually left Camp Hovey to go to Iraq. Only time the Army has ever taken a brigade from one theater of war to another. So we trained to go to the desert in the middle of monsoon season in the mountains.
That's not the right temperatures.
No. Ended up in the Anbar province all through 2004, 2005. So Ramadi, Fallujah, and Habbaniyah. Some people call us cowboys because those were bad old days.
And if anybody doesn't know, that's not a fun place to be during that time. It was, that was some war fighting shit.
It was a little warm. It was a little loud. Not loud. We weren't quite fighting the professionals yet, but they definitely didn't run out of people to throw at us. So it was interesting. Got to finish that deployment in 2005. Went to Colorado, went back to Iraq in 2006, Solder City, 06 to 07, and got out in 2008.
Yeah, 06 is right about when I came in, October 06. So I was in basic training in cute little Air Force boot camp.
No, we were busy in Baghdad while you were in boot camp.
I know, right? And I wish I would have joined, well, I guess I couldn't have. I graduated fucking high school in 06. But after the whole 9/11 thing, man, I wanted to go. And then talking to my dad, I was talking about going in the Marine Corps and everything, and I think he was kind of scared of me going to war. And he's like, you should join the Air Force. And I was like, yeah, I should join the Air Force. And here I go, I spend 4 fucking tours overseas fucking as a 50 cal gunner. So it's like, shit. That didn't really work. Thanks, Dad. It's kind of what I wanted, though. It was fun.
You got a good deal then, because a lot of the guys that I know that were in the Air Force couldn't stand sitting here on the stateside. They would rather be deployed. And actually, you made a good point. So the reason why I joined, I was in college and I was bored, and my family business was actually in Suite 4517 at Tower 2. Oh, so I kind of looked at it as, well, why don't I go do something about this? So
did you, if you don't mind talking about it, did you lose any family during 9/11 or?
Everybody was late to work that day. Every single person in the office. Yep.
That's insane, dude. That gave me chills, man. What are the odds? What are the odds of that? That's crazy.
Small blessings. Everybody was late. Small office. I think we had like 8 or 9 people that worked there, and it was, gone. Everybody was out.
I'm happy to fucking hear that shit. That was a fucking shitty day. I was in 8th grade, man. I was sitting there in my first class. I remember sitting there watching it. I just sat there all day watching, and it pissed me off, man. there's a lot of conspiracies about all like what happened, what could have that shit doesn't matter. It's the fact that so many fucking people died, and that's where we ended up going. And it's like, I want to go. I want to do my part. I want to do something. And I always wanted to be a cop, so joining the Air Force was the quickest way for me to being a cop. And then I found out I also get to deploy, so I'm like, this fucking best of both worlds. Fuck it. So I got lucky, man. I got very lucky to be an Air Force guy to get to deploy and do some cool shit. So, so what were the years you were in again?
I joined October 2003 and I got out September 2008 is my actual final out.
Okay. Yeah. So just about 5 days or 5 years. So,
just under.
What, you got any stories from like, something that's not too gruesome, I guess? Because we all do some cool shit. We all do some fun shit, some goofy shit. But, war stories are fun.
I think one of the best ones I can come up with is Christmas 2004. We were under the command of the Marine Corps, actually General Mattis, 1st Marine Expeditionary Force. And
Patty Mattis.
For the Marine Corps birthday, they decided to celebrate on Christmas, and everybody in the AO that was under the command of the Marine Corps got 2 beers and a shot.
Oh, shit.
We had a gentleman in the platoon that was 100 pounds, 5'1". He drank 1 beer and was so trashed that he let us throw atropine darts at him.
Oh, no. What a fucking idiot. Oh, man.
So this is coming in, after like what's supposed to be a 24-hour patrol ended up being like 6 days and just mess. And we get to come back to this, we get 2 beers and a shot, a hot shower and some food. And I get to throw atropine darts at this kid that he can barely hold his M4. So it was great. It was good.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I mean, I could tell all the gruesome stories and the nasty ones, blah, 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 but that one always sticks out in my mind.
Oh, absolutely. Those are always the fun ones to tell. And I always tell people, like, veterans don't mind telling stories. They'll tell the ones they want to. If you ask, do you have any cool stories? I mean, I'm not going to tell stories shit I don't want to talk about, but I always have some good ones because we're a bunch of dumb assholes who just did stupid shit. Like, we used to go dub hunting. You know what the dubs were? The little lizards. There was one day we were driving around. We were literally just dub hunting. We had 4 Humvees all stacked next to each other. We were driving, trying to flush them out. And then we found one, so we circled it, and then we got down, we grabbed it and shit. And we picked it up, and we were talking about, like, eating it and shit. And then there was, like, I don't remember exactly why, but we ended up setting it down and shit. And this thing, like, hissed at the guy who set it down. I'm not going to name names because it's kind of fucked up. But this lizard, like, snapped his tail and, like, tried to hit him and just missed him. This dude just fucking smacked the shit out of that fucking lizard. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's like, dude, why? Half the shit we did over there is so dumb. But it's like you're slowly going crazy.
Yeah, you are slowly going crazy. And I think these are the stories that people need to hear because you can turn on the news and see all the mess and the blood and the violence. But, for a lot of people, it was, well, I'm not going to name names, but there are certain places in Iraq in the times that I was there that had Baskin Robbins and burger joints.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been to a few places. Like when I was in Balad in 2009, we swam in Saddam Hussein's swimming pool all the time. There's a triple dive on it. Like, they shut down the top one because the guy was sniped off the top of it. So you can only go to the second one. So, because I guess that one you can't see over the base wall or whatever. But yeah, like half my days off were literally swimming and eating fucking ice cream. It was Baskin Robbins there too. And green bean coffee. Oh my God, this shit was amazing.
Yeah, no. No, best coffee I could get was from a chow hall and a Mermite. Sludge at the bottom. Oh, yes.
Yeah. I was there a little later than you, so. All the rickets you could drink. Oh, it's a good time.
Nope. Red Bulls, buy them by the case.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I didn't start drinking energy drinks until Qatar, my first deployment. Well, deployment, and then I started to really like them. And then in Afghanistan, I tried a Monster, and I was like, "This is amazing!" So I started buying them by the case and just slamming Monsters like 2 or 3 a day. It was fucking terrible. I'm surprised I didn't have a heart attack.
Yeah, yeah, they're just not good for you. Leave that shit alone.
I still drink that shit. I gotta stop. That's like my one unhealthy vice. I love that shit.
No more.
So you got out in 2008. What'd you do? What'd you do after that? What was your life like after you got out?
Well, I can tell you that Colorado Springs was in the middle of some turmoil because of the housing crisis. And when you're an overeducated 23-year-old trying to get a job at McDonald's because it's the only thing open, and they turn you down because you have too much experience to be a team leader. That was kind of rough, and it was a slap in the face.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I got into oil and gas on a road crew. So we traveled to Chicago. We traveled to a couple places in Wyoming. We went Houston. We were all over the place. And that's kind of what I've been doing ever since. I moved to Houston, got married, bought a house, and I've been a process operator. So I operate chemical plants and refineries.
So what exactly do you do though with that? Like you run the switches and.
Oh yeah, I'm Homer Simpson at the beginning of The Simpsons. With his feet up on the desk, the gauges behind him. That's literally what I do.
Okay. That's fucking some smart shit.
All it is following directions, and that's everything I did in the military. Just follow the directions. A little bit of troubleshooting, follow directions.
Yeah.
But that led to firefighting and hazmat teams, all of these things that are involved in hazardous chemicals, highly volatile, explosive chemicals. So, gasoline, what you put in your car, it's a mess to make that stuff.
Yeah.
So they pay us really good money to follow directions, and it's hazard pay because if it blows up, we're all screwed.
Yeah. That's so you've been doing that since what year did you get into that when you moved out of Colorado Springs? 2008. Okay. Nice. So you've been doing that ever since, or?
I've been doing operations or some form of operations training or response teams since 2008.
So you said you've been bouncing around. Where all have you lived since you got
out? When I left Colorado, I went to Houston, and I lived in Houston until 2018. But some of my jobs took me around the country.
Yeah.
Which worked out really well because at one point I worked for BP, and they've got a couple of refineries scattered across the country. So we would do, exchange operators and exchange firefighters for training. And it worked out really well. I think I've been kind of a nomad my whole life. So being settled in one area was restricted.
Yeah.
But the money was good and the cost of living was low. So I didn't mind it so much. And there was no such thing as negative 55.
True.
No. When it gets down to 30, they shut the city down. So
yeah,
that's not that bad.
Yeah, it gets too goddamn cold here in Minnesota. So you said you wound up here because your family's from here, right?
Yeah, so my family moved here actually while I was deployed. And in 2016, I got a divorce. And then in 2017, Hurricane Harvey hit Houston.
Mm.
And that's how I started on the disaster response teams. So I responded to Harvey, and then Hurricane Irma in the Florida Keys, and then Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. We created the nonprofit and just so we could start taking in donations to try and fund some of this stuff because we deployed all on our own with our own money. I spent $39,000 in 2017 just on hurricane relief.
So explain the nonprofit and what it's called and everything and how it all works out. What do you do with the nonprofit?
So the nonprofit started as kind of an amalgam of 3 teams. We worked around each other and knew different people within the teams, and we were able to coalesce into one team when we were in Florida getting ready to go to Puerto Rico. We had to drop some people off, tell them to go home. Thanks for your service.
They just weren't meshing with you guys, or
some people had family issues. Some people just needed to go because disasters bring out the crazies.
yeah.
And people will present themselves as, the end all be all, Superman, swiftwater rescue, firefighter, and you don't know how to tie a fucking bowline knot. So no, I need you to go. I need you to go.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out really well. We took a team of, I think we had 17 when we got to Puerto Rico.
Okay.
All military vets, all Army and Marine, some reservists, some, we had a couple that were still active duty that were on leave.
Yeah.
And having that kind of shared background, since every single one of us had been on some kind of deployment, whether it was Colombia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Bosnia. We had a couple Rangers. One of them went to Panama. So every single one of us had been in a disaster of some type, because what do you call a war? A war zone is a disaster.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have running water. You don't have electricity. You got bombed out houses. You got scared civilians running around everywhere. So having that shared background really was really helpful. We got
so
things
I guess
done.
being able to look at somebody like, hey, fucker, I need you to go do this. Hey, go do this. Hey, go do this. And they'll just do it and not get offended.
And that's exactly what happened. And then, we would have civilian volunteers that would come, that would join us, especially when we were doing food and water distribution. And they looked at us like we were crazy because how we were talking to each other. But we got things done. So when we were in Puerto Rico, we were the only volunteer team on the west side of the island for the first 2 months.
Okay.
And we out-delivered the Red Cross 6-1.
So how bad was the hurricane you said that was Maria in Puerto Rico? Maria?
Yes.
Okay. So now, do you know why, because there's that whole conspiracy that they found a shitload of food and a shitload of supplies and everything that weren't distributed just because they couldn't find people to distribute. Do you know anything about that, or am I just listening to fake news bullshit? Or because I know you told me that you guys were really busting your ass trying to get these supplies out, but was there like a lack of supply trucks, or like what was going on with that?
So I was kind of in the middle of all of that mess, to the point where we were affiliated as a volunteer group under FEMA. So we got, governmental recognition and backing.
Nice.
And I can tell you that part of what happened was the truckers needed to go home and check on their families.
Yeah.
A lot of the roads were destroyed. The truckers union was negotiating some crazy rates because they thought they were going to get all this FEMA money. Yeah. And nobody realized that they weren't going to get the FEMA money, because not only did they have 2 other major hurricanes that hit the U.S. mainland, there was also a giant wildfire in California.
Yeah.
So
just
what everybody thought was coming,
all around.
What everybody thought was coming was not coming. It was slow. And then you have a 1,000-mile logistical trail from, the mainland of Florida to Puerto Rico. I mean, it's closer to Venezuela than it is the United States. So to try and get the amount of food and water to that island, it was a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, I bet.
And most of your logistics are tied up in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So the military did have a nice airlift into the West Coast and onto the East Coast. It just took us a couple of weeks to find where the supply dumps were.
Okay.
And they didn't have enough people to distribute because people were trying to rebuild their homes or just survive. So
yeah. So how did you guys go about getting the supplies and then figuring out where the supplies need to go? Like who organized that?
So we broke off into teams based on prior experience. My director, the director of the nonprofit, her name is Miley Cardenas. She was civil affairs. So she was very good for that side of it. Linking up with the locals, talking to the police, going to the governor's offices. And that's
Is
what we did. We went
there
to the CA team.
is there any way you could hook us up so we could maybe talk about it as well? So I
Yeah,
can interfere.
I can give her a call probably Wednesday-ish.
Yeah, no rush. Just shoot her my info. I'd be interested to hear her side too. Because
Yeah.
I honestly, dude, I know we're still talking. I was getting into it, but I think what you do it's amazing. I really hope you let me come with you on one of these. You know, I'll volunteer my time. I don't know how long I can do it, but you know, hopefully I can get in there with you guys on point, and maybe I can help you guys raise some money to help get you guys down there, get you guys some decent equipment, whatever you guys need. But I need to get down there with you to see what you need. You know.
I can tell you right now, it's one of the best things that I've ever done, and it was totally selfish.
Yeah.
I felt good because I was able to help people and use the skills that the government paid a lot of money for me to be able to survive in some very harsh environments and living with no food, with, no power or running water for 6 months and moving around constantly, sleeping in the backs of trucks or back seats or, on the ground could be a kind of a harsh experience for the average person.
Well, that's a good thing about the military. We can sleep fucking anywhere.
Anywhere.
Pull me up some fucking dirt, man. I'll be all right.
Anywhere. Give me a 1.5-liter bottle of water for a whole day in the desert. Shh, give me a 1.5-liter bottle for a whole day in, the jungle. We're good. We'll make that happen.
Just bring some iodine tablets. No big deal. Boil some water. Be all right.
Oh, yeah. So for our team, we have some basic loadouts for everybody to bring along. And then if you have any kind of specialty like rescue or logistics distribution, you bring your own computer, bring some ropes, whatever you need to do. And it really depends on the nature of the disaster. Yep. So when we hopped from town to town, we actually had team boxes full of equipment.
Yeah.
And I won't tell anybody what to do or what not to do, but the Second Amendment is really a thing, and it is very good to exercise that when you're in the middle of a disaster and people don't have food, water, or gasoline, and you roll in with a truck with 500 gallons of gas in the back.
How does it work with with the laws with that? Isn't it like now? Didn't Trump sign a bill saying like within I think 10 days after a disaster you're allowed to open carry just to help fight looting or something like that? How does that work?
That goes state to state. So I know Texas did it. Texas said that you can open carry for a week after a disaster, which is funny because we were doing it anyway.
Well, if there's didn't you say there's like groups here, so cops aren't going to fuck with you because you're just doing disaster relief and redistribution?
Right. And so one of the things we do is when we get to an area that we can see a need, or if somebody tells us, hey, you need to go over to this area, we will go liaise with the fire department and with local law enforcement. Okay. Immediately. Let them know who we are, what we're doing, what area we'll be operating in, what skills we bring to the table, what equipment. We'll bring boats, we'll bring trucks, we'll bring food, we'll bring medical. We brought an entire trailer full of medical supplies that the Home Depot actually donated to us, along with 12,000 pounds of water from Houston to the Florida Keys. We were out of medical supplies in 2 days.
Holy
we were giving
shit.
it to nurses, we were giving it to cops. I mean, everything was overwhelmed.
Okay. So do you guys have like a packing list before you go? Just like what basic essentials, or?
Yeah, we have a very basic essentials packing list. It's 3 to 4 changes of clothes. Be mindful of the weather. Bring your own survival gear. Bring your own water filters. Bring your own ammunition. Bring your own personal protection. And then depending on the disaster, we'll come up with a gear list. And it really depends on who's coming. But a basic loadout is just what you need to survive. And we will pick up anything else we need on the way. Okay.
Yeah, so one thing I was thinking, obviously with flooding and shit like that, do you guys need boats and stuff? Like, how do you guys have certain people that bring those down, or how do you go about that if you need them?
So we have some people that own them and they'll bring them down. We have people, they're kind of scattered across the country, and everybody has their own equipment. Some people have boats, some people have lifted trucks, some people have, a house full of medical supplies that they just kind of hoard. So Again, it really just depends on who's coming and who's available, who can make it, and we'll tailor the mission to the skills that we have on hand.
Okay. All right. So what would you tell a guy like me? You know, yeah, I have the survival training. I went to SEER school. I went to all that stuff, and you know, I'd spent a lot of time in Iraq. I spent a lot of time in Afghanistan. Being uncomfortable is comfortable for me. So what would you say to somebody like me about coming down there? If you're trying to recruit people, what would you say?
I would tell you to be prepared to be uncomfortable. Make sure you have the things that you need to survive on your own. We will work as a team. We will share meals. We'll do everything we have to do as a team. Sometimes you may have to go out as a single operator, but be prepared to give a helping hand. This is not a deployment. We are not in Iraq. These are our brothers and sisters and the neighbors that you can't fucking stand, but they're gonna need help.
Yeah. That's good.
That's it.
I like that, man, because you know, there's a sense of brotherhood that we have in the military that no matter what, you know, if you're wearing fucking green, you're standing next to me, you're my fucking brother. That's the way it works, you know. So is there a lot of that camaraderie on your team when you go down there?
Very much so. That is the type of camaraderie that I have not felt since I left the Army in 2008.
Yeah.
And I didn't like everybody on the team, and I know certain people didn't like me, but we made it. We made it work.
That's the way it works on deployments too. There's people I fucking hated, but I'd take a bullet for them if I needed to. I probably would want to, but I mean, I'd do it.
Yeah, right. And that's exactly what it is. You know, we would sleep in shifts. We would garner all our own equipment. You know, we do it like we do on a deployment. You just have to make sure that you keep in mind that we are in America and we are here to help people.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things we ran into. We would run into certain groups that I will not mention that have been in the news because they use the disasters as an opportunity to try and flex some muscle and flex on the sheriff's deputies. And the sheriff's deputies are looking at us like, you know these guys? Nope. Locked up. Just don't do anything
That's what
stupid.
you get for fucking around.
I mean, the rules are relaxed. The rules are relaxed because people need help.
Yep.
Don't be a dick.
That's pretty general throughout life, you know. Just don't be a dick. You'll be all right.
Yeah, but I find myself having to tell people that all the time. Just don't be a dick.
Yeah, it's amazing when you finally really start living like that. Don't be a dick. Treat everybody like you want to be treated. Well, I shouldn't say that because that's kind of weird, but I treat everybody with the same exact respect. It doesn't matter. Like me and you never met each other, and like instantly it was like, whatever, let's just fucking have some beers. This is bullshit. Let's talk, you know? That's how everybody should treat each other. I'm all for that, man. And that's one thing I miss about the military. It does not matter who you're deployed with. That's your brother. You know, I miss that connection. I miss that love, you know, because that's a love that's stronger than anything, man. Somebody who you know 100% you will step in front of a bullet for, you know, that's real love, you know? And I think that's one of the most important things in the military that people either forget or they look at it in a different angle. But really, that's just straight pure fucking love, man. And doing what you're doing, obviously, that's all that is. That's love for your country. It's love for your people. Going down there, you don't know these fucking people. You don't owe them a fucking thing. But going down and risking your life and risking your, you know, time and giving everything you got to make sure that these people, you know, find some kind of relief after a disaster like that, man. That's honorable as fuck, and I applaud you, dude. I'm hearing your story the other day was really, really fucking cool, man. I envy it. I wish I could do some shit like that, you know. And I hope you let me.
You can. Oh, you can. It's coming. So Hurricane Michael and Florence, I actually was not able to make it personally during the actual storms. I got to go a little bit later, but I dispatched. I was at work on the other side of the country, and I was dispatching for a couple of teams that I had worked with in the past. You know, just to get to addresses, collecting information, disseminating it. And sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes if that's all you can do, that's still a whole lot more than most people are pulling off. Because most people are just sitting there watching it on Facebook like, ooh, better than me.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, I mean, I think the people that want to stand up and do something rather than just sit and bitch about stuff, I respect that, Like, is there how can people help get you guys down to places like this to help, if anything, help you with plane tickets or help with supplies, or is there like a website that the nonprofit has, or is there like a Facebook page?
So the website is down right now, but there is a Facebook page. It is Warfighter DRT.
Warfighter DRT.
And I actually need to update it, but it's still up and running.
Are you one of the ones that does the updates on that?
Yes, I'm one of the admins. So I'm not a director. I'm actually just a team leader for on the ground, boots on the ground, distributions, search and rescue, things like that.
This one?
Yep.
All right.
Yep, that's it.
All right,
That's
everybody, look, this is what you're looking for. All right. So,
And while we may not deploy as a whole team,
yep.
If somebody has questions or they would like to go, I can always direct you to the other teams that I know that do good work. I know them personally. We did work very well together in 5 different disasters, and I'll just point you to one and say go.
What are some of the most memorable moments from some of these relief deployments, if you want to call it that?
Well, I got to ride in a Chinook that was built after 1967.
Cool. It's awesome.
As a civilian, no less. We actually ran into some Pennsylvania National Guard guys that self-deployed after the storm by themselves with no orders, 1,000 miles over open water, and they were irritated because the Army had grounded them because they didn't have a mission for them. So they had to fly once a day to go get fuel. And we just kind of struck up a conversation with them, let them know who we were and what we were doing, where we had been. And we got to throw a few people on a couple of the choppers. And that's how we got our in with FEMA and started distributing their supplies.
Nice.
So in the midst of getting private donations flown to us, that's how we were able to really ingratiate ourselves with FEMA and get our names out there, because now the Army knew that we were there and what we had been doing.
Yep.
So that's pretty memorable. I got some good top shots from all over the island.
That's pretty sweet, man. That's cool. Those Chinooks are fun too. We flew into Afghanistan on Chinooks, and Iraq, down at Camp Buka from Kuwait. That shit was cool, man. Like those Chinooks are awesome.
They are flying school buses.
Yeah.
The flying
pretty much.
Buses.
They're so big too. Like they look so big, but then when you're inside, you're like, holy fucking shit! This thing goes in the air.
Massive.
Yeah.
I can tell you the other thing that really surprised me was being on an island that most Americans don't realize that island is America, and these people have nothing. They have no power. They don't have any running water, and they're so thankful that you're able to bring them sustenance that when you come by, a couple of days later, somehow they figured out how to make rice and beans and some kind of spicy pork, and they're trying to feed you.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm a volunteer. I'm here to feed you.
That's cool, man. That's got to be really cool to check out. Like, when I was like 16, and then again when I was 17, I actually went and stayed in Mexico down in Juarez, and we were building houses for the poor. People who had land, but they couldn't afford to build a house or whatever. And the first one, it was a group of people. It was like 16 fucking people living in like maybe a 400 square foot house. And like these people were out helping us build stuff. They were making us meals. They were extremely appreciative, like just wonderful people, And I think that's kind of where, I think my mom, Lisa, every day for talking me into going to that, because I think that's why I have the heart that I do now, why I'm always going to help people, because it started when I was 16, and then I joined the military, and I wanted to help people, and I got some chances here and there. And then I got out of the military, and I got lucky enough to get that job as a 911 dispatcher, but still I always had that feeling that I wasn't doing enough. And that's part of why I started this nonprofit, is because my brothers and sisters are suffering, and it really is an epidemic if you think about it. You know, I guarantee you everybody knows a veteran who's killed themselves. And the only thing we can do is stick together, man. And doing shit like what you're doing, like that's you I don't think you could find that camaraderie anywhere, dude. That's awesome. Like I think what you're doing is so fucking cool. I don't know how many times I've told you that, but you know, I really want to get out with you at least once, just so through my nonprofit I can bring your guys more attention. You know, just to see what I can do. You know, I want to try to offer something to you guys. At least make your guys' experience down there a little bit more comfortable. See if maybe I can help get donations, or supplies, or maybe even people to come down. You know, I want to do something to help you guys, and I think it'd be cool to like find a veteran who's into like making documentaries or videos or films to come down and like pretty much do a documentary on us just going down, you know, doing what you guys do. And I want to experience it firsthand. You know, I want to be in there helping you guys. I think it's, you know, ever since you told me this story, it's something that I feel like I have to try it at least once. You know,
It's life changing. But what I can tell you is, I've met quite a few people who really want to do it, and they're like, "Man, that looks like that's that cool guy shit. I want to do it again." And I tell them, you don't have to travel to another part of the country in the middle of a nasty disaster and possibly get dysentery or die
yeah,
because some whatever. You don't have to do that. You can help people in your neighborhood. There are nonprofits
exactly.
and there are volunteer opportunities everywhere,
Mhm.
especially if you live near a city.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the sense of community needs to be better throughout, you know, all of the United States. I really do. I really think it does. I don't think, like, you know, what the fuck's his name? Um, the guy from fucking all the Adam Sandler movies is you can do it. What's his name? Rob Schneider?
Yes.
Yeah. So he put out a tweet a couple years ago that I really loved it. This is amazing. It's like, you know, the world is not as bad as it may seem if you were just to step outside and talk to your neighbors, you know. And it's totally true. Like the apartment building that I live in, it's I mean, I joke around and call it East Africa because it's like it's all Somali and a lot of people from Eastern Africa. From like we got some people from Uganda, which I actually deployed with a bunch of Ugandans in 2008. And I play with these kids outside all the time, and I talk to the neighbors, and everybody's extremely nice. I don't know why, you know, you get some people talk about how, you know, it's like, oh, everybody hates each other. No, you really go outside and talk to your neighbors. I guarantee you they'll be friends. You know, they'll be friendly with you. Just depends where you live, you know?
People are hardwired to see the differences. I mean, that's in
Yeah.
the lizard brain. That's generations of survival.
Yeah.
And then we have, these nice little electronic devices and television and people are becoming more insular. So
Hmm.
the sense of community is gone. And that's one of the things I found in Puerto Rico is that sense of community is strong. So the place that I spend a lot of time in, all the neighbors know each other. I've only been in that neighborhood twice, and they know who I am.
Okay.
And every time, I'd only been in that neighborhood twice until I went and rented a house. And all the neighbors know who I am. Every time I go there, everybody smiles and waves. It's a real sense of community. You will not go hungry there. If you are hurting so badly that you need some food, somebody will make you food.
Yeah.
And we're missing that in most of this country now. And we pay attention to what they show us on the news, and everybody's divided and blah, blah, blah. And people are going to have their own personal gripes. And maybe they really don't like you in the back of their head.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean everybody's going to be an asshole.
Exactly. Well, that's just why I think, like, you know, that group that we're in on Facebook, you know, it's like we say some evil shit to each other. We joke around. Like people say some terrible, even some shit I see on there. I don't get offended, but there's some shit I see that these motherfuckers post, and I'm just like, holy shit! Like you need Jesus. Like something's wrong
Yeah,
with you.
yeah. Every once in a while, I
Goddamn.
just have to keep scrolling. Like,
I mean, sometimes I put some shit up there too. I'm like, ooh, I should take that down, but fuck it, you know. And then
nah.
somebody's like, dude, what the fuck, you know. But I
Well,
mean, it's it's all in good fun, man, and it's kind of like that's our community because it doesn't matter what you post in there, people are gonna give you shit, but like almost everybody in there is like these guys are like my friends, you know. And I mean, I met you in there, and we
Yeah.
actually went and hung out. And I mean, I consider you my friend. I've only met you once. We fucking talked, you know, a handful of times. But it's like it's that community, man. That there needs to be more community in this fucking country. You know, even if it's just
I
a bunch of fuckers talking shit online.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've noticed even in the neighborhood that I'm in right now is
Where
the
do you
neighbors.
live? If you don't
I'm
mind.
in Brooklyn Park, right
Okay.
near Champlin, and the neighbors kind
Kind of
of
by
know each
the
other. But
kind of by Mavericks.
yeah,
We
yeah,
went and drank. Okay.
yep. Like 2 miles down the road from there. And the
Okay.
neighbors, they kind of know each other, but nobody hangs out, nobody talks. And where I lived in Houston, or just south of Houston, we used to barbecue because it was a day that ended in Y.
That's
The
awesome.
whole block would come out.
That's some southern hospitality too. It's kind of like that North Carolina too.
But most of the people there were transplants from other parts of the country.
Oh, okay. You know, when you get
This is,
that diversity together, like we used to have potlucks in the military all the time, and like one of my buddies was from Guam, one was from he wasn't from Mexico, he's Mexican, and then we had a group of friends that were Korean, and then so we'd have like ethnic potlucks, and I'm like a mud of a bunch of other shit, so I made like I'd make pizza because I made homemade pizza. They called me Papa Ron in the military, and it's like I'd like to open my own pizza restaurant someday. So we'd all make a bunch of food, man, and god damn it, that was the best fucking meals I've ever had is when everybody got together and brought some shit, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, it's good
I,
stuff.
I I very much believe in the sense of community, and I see it every day that it's falling apart in a lot of places, and it's
Yeah.
really too bad. So,
Well,
you
I
know,
mean, keep doing what you're doing, man, because just going down there and being a part of their community when they're hurting and being there for them, man. I mean, just that alone, I just think there needs to be more light shined on what you guys are doing because it's like I keep saying, it's fucking awesome, you know? It's pretty cool
yeah.
shit.
And like I said, it's volunteering even closer to home. I mean, if you're a vet, go to the vet center, go join a group, go meet some other vets. Maybe they're
Yeah.
from Vietnam, maybe they're from the Gulf War, maybe they're from the other side of the country. Who knows? But they're there,
Mm-hmm.
and there's opportunities. There are opportunities everywhere. Just go spend an hour or two. I think it's like Heartland's Best is here in Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
They go feed the homeless. They go feed the homeless. They've been contacting me for a while to come do it, but they'll say, "Hey, come spend 2 hours and run a soup kitchen," because these people are in a place where they need to help. So why
Is it
not?
a veteran thing or is it just
It's not.
just
It's
a
just a
volunteer
civilian
program?
volunteer group. But there are veteran volunteer groups like that too, and
Yeah.
there are actual volunteer groups that go seek out the veterans to
Okay.
try and get them into homes. So
Yeah, there's my buddy Sam. Shout out to Sam. I'm supposed to meet up with him here soon to see how my nonprofit can work alongside him. But I think he works for St. Francis in Minneapolis. But his main job is to help homeless veterans, get the help that they need, financial help, lawyers, get them into homes, stuff like that, help them with their debt, stuff like that. And he's a civilian, he's not a veteran, but he's got a friend of his who's a Marine who works alongside him, and he told him about what I'm trying to do, and I want to get in there and work with these guys because they have a lot of veterans who are either homeless or in the homeless shelters that just need somebody to fucking talk to.
yep.
So I'd like to
And
get down there sometime soon.
it's not sexy at all. It's not the cool guy shit. You're not riding in the back of a Chinook in the middle of a fucking disaster, handing out food and water, right? You're not
Necessary.
strapped up. You're not strapped up with, fucking watching your flanks and shit. But that's where the real help needs to happen.
Yeah.
It's the guys that are sleeping on the street. They came
It's
with a bad
necessary.
way, or something happened, and if I didn't, I have a fantastic family. A lot of people don't have the family that I have, and I would not be where I am today without them. And so, for the people that don't have that, go lend them an ear.
Yeah, that's good. And I think it's something that I had expressed wanting to do. It's just I'm so goddamn busy trying to run this nonprofit and still working like 60 hours a week. So it's like my time is very important, you know. So I make time for certain things like doing this podcast with you, and then my friend Chad, who I was just talking to. I think telling veteran stories is extremely important. And I think people like veterans need to listen to these podcasts. You know, they could talk shit about us, say what they want, but really listen to the stories that we're putting out because what you're doing is fucking amazing. And maybe it'll help them, you know, take the next step or, you know, help them go talk to these groups or work with down in the soup kitchen or go talk to a homeless veteran doing something like that, or even flying down with you and, you know, doing some disaster relief, going on a hike with me, you know, stuff like that. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
bring the veteran community back together, man.
Find a calling, and I will
Yeah.
definitely go on a hike with you. I don't know if
Hell
I'm
yeah.
going to make it all the way to Hawaii, but I can hike around here.
Yeah, there's I should get you and my buddy Aaron and my buddy Jordan, a few other people. What are you doing July 2nd? It's a Tuesday.
I will be here in the cities. I can tell you that because I'm on call from the 1st to the 8th. So I'll be here.
Can you go up to the Duluth area or is that too far away?
I don't think I can do that July 2nd because I'm on call.
Okay.
And I need to be here near the shop.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, we got a group of veterans at my work, actually. A lot of us are off on Tuesdays. So I got them and a bunch of other people. We're actually going to drive up and climb Eagle Mountain, which is the highest elevation point in Minnesota. And we're doing that July 2nd. We got a group of guys that are going up. We're going to stop at Toby's up in Hinckley and get some caramel rolls. Have you ever had those?
I have not.
Oh my God, dude. I'll grab one and I'll bring it down. I'll give it to you. It's you can freeze those things, take them out, put them in the microwave. It's just a giant fucking caramel roll. It's the best thing in the world. I'll bring one down for you.
Sounds like diabetes.
Oh, it is, but it's totally worth it. And then we're gonna stop at Sammy's. Okay, yeah, if you can come, man, that'd be great. You just ride up with us. I think we got 4 people.
I'll see if I can make that happen.
Okay. If
But
anything,
these are the kinds of things that vets need to do. Get along with, hook up with other vets and go do stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit in your room and fucking drink all day long. I mean, what are you doing? Get out there and do something.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of us take a dark path when we get like my path was pretty dark for a while when I got out, you know. Finally got my shit together.
Oh yeah.
We all fucking made mistakes and did the wrong thing, but I think the majority of us finally something snaps and you find your calling, kind of like what you're doing, you know. And with my nonprofit, I felt happier and better about myself ever since I started this thing back in. Say I got back from Hawaii in February. I had this nonprofit up and running in 3 weeks because I knew that it was my calling and I had to do it. And it just took me a trip to Hawaii to really figure out like this is what I need to do, you know. And I'm just tired of seeing my friends kill themselves and shit. And if all it takes is just a conversation out in the woods, let's go hiking, let's talk. You know, we don't even have to talk about your issues. Let's just talk. You know, let's get a sense of community. And I feel like that'll help. It'll help a lot.
It really does. I mean, I went homeless for almost 6 months, and that's what really snapped my head back into reality. You know, I went from making $130,000 a year to living in my truck. So
that's rough.
You know, we make mistakes, and you know, if it weren't for some other vets and some really good people, I would probably be one of those guys on the street.
Yeah.
But I was able to turn it around. And like I said, you know, you see those guys on the street, man, sometimes they just need somebody to listen to and maybe some options.
I just feel like if somebody's down in those spots, like I had a few conversations with a certain few people when I hit rock bottom, and unfortunately I've been there a few times, but I always have somebody who says something that sticks. And I feel like a conversation out on a climb, or like I took one of my buddies to one of my favorite waterfalls. I knew he was not doing so hot, and so I was like, fuck it, let's just go chill. Like literally all I wanted to do was go hang out with them, but it turned into like this big fucking inspirational speech between the two of us because he inspires me too, you know, because we were both fighters together, and he's a fucking extremely giving person. He helped me out when I was, you know, I I don't like saying this, but I was in a hole, and I was not doing well. And this guy saves a portion of his money every month, and he donates it to somebody in need, or he donates to a church, or he donates to whoever needs it. He showed up at my door because he used to live across the hall from me. Showed up at my door knocking with a wad of cash in his hands. I was like, no, dude. He's like, you need to fucking take this. You need it. And so I was just like, no, I can't. It took everything. It was hard for me to take that money, dude. It hurt. But at the same time, that love that I felt from him, dude, it was amazing. Like it made me realize, like, I got a brother, you know? I got somebody that gives a shit. And I slowly pulled myself out of that, and things kind of got better, you know? I still have yet to repay him. You know, hopefully I can with this nonprofit by doing something good for him, because, or even the pay it forward type thing, you know? So
Everybody needs a hand sometimes.
yeah, for sure. And the strongest people can be the most fucked up inside. You know,
Oh, yeah.
we all know some veterans who have been through some shit, and they look nice, they look calm, they look fine, but they're extremely suicidal, they're depressed, they hate their life, you know, even if it looks like they have everything. Sometimes inside we feel nothing. So that community of the veterans, you know, I think that alone, that's all we need. You know, we just need a buddy to reach out. So
Very, very much so.
yeah, and that's why it's nice, like that group that we have too. Like you could tell when somebody's not doing so hot by some of the shit that they say. You know, all it takes is just reach out, fucking say what's up, dude. How you doing? You doing all right? You know, you don't have to go directly to the problem, but let's go get a beer. Let's just fuck off and talk about retarded shit. Let's be morons for a couple hours. Let's get drunk. Let's get stupid. You know, sometimes that alone is healing, you know?
Yeah. Don't forget to take an Uber. Don't drive.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't drink and drive. Do not drink and drive. God damn it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
You know,
I've gotten in trouble for that. Don't do it. Just don't. Just don't.
I had a buddy of mine say, he's like, you know, you shouldn't like talk about alcohol and incorporate alcohol in your nonprofit. I was like, do you know what veterans do together? You know, I was like, get the fuck out of here. You know, that's our bonding thing. Like, you know, what did you do when somebody was deploying? You got together and you drank. Somebody had a baby. Yeah. Let's go drink. Let's celebrate. You know, that was our bonding moment.
We don't have PT in the morning until like 8 in the morning. Okay, we'll drink until 3.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
I only need a few hours sleep. That alcohol.
That was Korea for me.
I heard that a lot.
That was Korea for everybody.
I'm kind of happy I never went to Korea, because I feel like I would have done shit.
Korea is that place where if you get there as an E4, you're going to leave as an E5. If you get there as an E6, you're going to leave as an
E5. Yeah, I heard some stories, man.
Yeah.
There's a buddy of mine. He was sleeping with this person for a certain amount of time, but apparently they never like had sex. And another person had seen the girl he was with out at the bar, and the whole time she was a trans female, and he didn't know it. And so he found out, and he got fucking pissed. Really, he didn't talk to anybody for like 3 months or some shit like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know, when that's not the team you're playing for, that's a little
right. You kind of need to have that open and honest conversation right off the bat.
Yeah, that's something you don't tell somebody when you get married, you know? It's right away.
Yes. You can make that decision early.
Yeah. Oh, man. Some good times, man.
Well, hey, and some really horrible times, but man, that's life.
You know, some of those horrible times, though, you know, there's a saying, you know, you can't really be happy until you've suffered.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that's always true. But for those of us who were in the military, who really had some dark moments, I personally truly enjoy the happy moments more, I think, because of what I went through. Because when I have some of those small moments that come by, you really cherish that because you don't know when it's going to come back. So
Yes.
that's why, like, I assume when you go down and do your disaster reliefs, you really cherish those moments because when you're gone, it's got to feel like it's like the end of a story, you know?
It really is, or at least I try not to think of it as the end of the story. I try to think of it as another chapter done. But I can tell you that it's really hard to come back from so much time of helping people and then walking back into your regular life and it's kind of looking around like there's people suffering all over the place and I have the ability to help them. So why am I here?
Yeah.
That is something that I definitely struggled with for a few months because things were still bad. And they're not great now.
One?
After my first one. I mean, even Houston's still rebuilding.
Yeah.
And they have money. Houston has a lot of money to rebuild. So when I left, Hurricane Harvey hit in September, I came back in January. And there was a neighborhood right next to mine where people were just starting to tear out the drywall. And even then, a year later, people were waiting on insurance companies to be able to tear down their house.
Fuck.
So
well, I could imagine that was a lot of damage.
It really was. We had 56 inches of rain in like 36 hours after the storm hit.
Fuck. That's insane. That's a lot of flooding.
It was bad. It was bad.
Well,
so
hopefully the next disaster is not like that. Hopefully it's not horrible. Hopefully they don't even need you guys, but you know, it's nice having people around like you, man. Fucking people like you fucking angels, dude. That's some hero shit. Whether you want to call yourself that or not.
Not an angel, definitely selfish. It's definitely I feel good. I was very surprised at how much I enjoyed it and how good I felt doing what we did and what we still do. So, if my whole team deploys, great. If the whole team doesn't deploy, that's fine. I'll find a way. I'll get there. I'll do what needs to be done.
Well, that's cool, man. Well, hopefully, the next one is not so bad, but let's hope that maybe the next one I can get down there with you and we can, at least get the people heading down there, get their flights covered at least. I mean, I'll do whatever I can to help you guys out.
Hurricane season is starting now.
Well, for anybody listening to this, go, check out Warfighter DRT on Facebook. They're a nonprofit organization that helps them deploy down to the disaster response areas after, disasters, hurricanes. Is it mainly hurricanes?
So yes, mainly it's hurricanes. We have some people that are broken off to do, flooding on the rivers and some tornado cleanup. But when it's the whole team, it's usually hurricanes.
Okay. Is there a certain
widespread mass casualty events?
Okay. Is there a certain place that people can go if they'd like to donate a small amount to you guys, or is there is that only during disaster time?
It's only during disaster times. We take the PayPal link back down because we don't need anybody saying, "Oh, well, I gave you some money. What happened to it?" We're not in that business.
So whenever there is a disaster, you guys make an announcement, and then do you add a PayPal button to your Facebook page?
Yeah, we'll add a PayPal button to the Facebook page. We started with GoFundMe, and GoFundMe was messy.
Yeah, they take a lot. I've found that out with mine.
GoFundMe was messy, so we went straight to a PayPal link, and the balances, they're there. We've had people donate to us specifically for certain items, and when we get around to a store that's open, we'll buy those items and we'll show a receipt, and here's the items, and this is what we're going to do with them.
Okay.
So, we keep everything transparent and above board, and again, disasters bring out some crazies. So I've met some very interesting people that like to be able to say that they respond, and I really won't associate with those people because it's already messy and I don't need all the extra drama and headache.
No, I got
So
it.
that's why we make the videos and we make sure that you see what we're doing with your money if we take it, and we drive on.
Well, what do you think about if I can arrange coming down for one of the disasters when it happens, and getting somebody to come with to actually videotape and make a documentary about it? Is that something you'd be interested in, or is that something you think the nonprofit would be interested in?
I think that's something we'd be interested in. We actually had a couple of guys. One was a vet, come down, and he actually runs Sigma 3 Survival School in Missouri.
Okay.
So he came down and he did a lot of recording and did some very professional level editing, which was nice and it helped.
Yeah.
But after a couple of days, we're like, all right, buddy, we need your hands. So
Yeah.
again, it really comes down to what the mission is, how what our time frames are, what the mission is. And
Okay.
there are some places that we go where we'll just say, no, we're not recording.
Okay.
Because when it comes down to like medical assistance, most of us have CLS, EMT, something like that. We're not going to record that kind of stuff.
Well, that's the good thing. I am actually a certified first responder and CPR, all that bullshit too. So that, I guess that'll help at least, So I bring something to the table.
It's helpful. It's helpful. Just about all of us. Yeah, just about all of us are.
Okay.
Have CPR and above.
Okay. Yeah, I was a combat lifesaver, which is, it's not crazy. It just teaches you how to dress wounds and shit like that, and then do like the nasal pharyngeals and the sucking chest wound shit, stuff like that. But it's not really like, you're not like an EMT. You're just like a step below. And then I took the first responder training back in 2014 when I was trying to be a trooper for a while. But that training was nice and it stuck with me. It's stuff that I think would probably come back during those situations. Huh?
Yeah, and those are the kinds of things that you can actually find places, especially again if you're near a city, that you can take that kind of training. Even the community colleges will give you that kind of training, especially if you're a vet, at a steep discount, if not free.
Yeah.
And I really
Century College here is one of the community colleges. They're very veteran friendly. So
I recommend everybody go take that kind of training because you never know. Somebody in your household may be choking or, go into AFib and you've got to do chest compressions waiting for the EMTs. So, that's another thing I try and tell people. Keep up with your medical training. You never know when you can use it. It might be a wreck on the side of the highway. It might be somebody in your household.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you chatting with me, and it was great meeting you the other day, and we got to do it again sometime soon. Hopefully I can get down there with you and see what I can do to help you. I'd like to obviously get involved in, rescues, redistribution, whatever y'all do. I just want to do exactly what you do and I want to live your experience so I can help tell your story because your story is fucking awesome and it's pretty badass. So I think
just be prepared for the shit show because what we show on the videos is not the behind the scenes. It's a shit show.
I figured it's a lot like a regular deployment. There's a lot of shiny shit, and the next thing you know, you're just fucking sleeping in fucking sewage.
Yes. And the lack of communication and miscommunication is just like, ugh.
Yeah,
but we'll get it done.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you. I appreciate you coming on, and I'll tag you in all the links and everything. Just share this around. Don't be afraid to share what you do. I don't think you are, but dude, this shit is cool as fuck, and I think people need to support it. And the next relief that pops up, I'm gonna do whatever I can to help out. Even if I can't go, I'll donate. I'll post your nonprofit donation site on my page because the veteran community needs to stick together. We need to work together.
All right, we'll do it, and I'll let you know about July 2nd because that sounds like something I need to get in on.
Yeah, it'd be fun, man. It's gonna go up, have some pizza, caramel rolls, climb a mountain.
Climb a mountain.
No big deal. All right, bro. We'll talk soon. Again, thank you, and everybody go check out Warfighter. Was it Warfighter DRT? And the nonprofit name is
Warfighter Disaster Response Team.
There you go. All right, everybody, check that out. Like his page. Next time a disaster comes around, go ahead and like it. And like we talked about, get out in your community, man. Just help out. Love each other.
Yeah.
So, all right, man.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, later.